Well, welcome back to another session here of 8th grade art. What we're working on today here is setting up our project so that it's pretty much ready to go for drawing. So there's always a little bit of planning that always goes on in the 8th grade art program, and 8th grade art is no exception this time either. And so we do a little bit of planning work before we start making our artwork, just like we did in the design unit where I had you do some idea work planning out what you were going to create prior to creating it. It is simply my opinion, but my opinion is backed up by a lot of research and evidence, that planned work comes out a little bit better than unplanned work. So keeping that in mind, there is a JPEG that I attached to our daily activities for this particular 8th grade project, and this is a variation of the 6th grade project. And in the 6th grade project, of course, I used a larger drawing than this. It was took up most of the space, and then we simply duplicated that. If you've been in my class the last couple years, we drew it together in class. And so this is a variation of that project. Many times was reserved for the advanced art class as well. And we would take cars and put them onto a 8.5 by 11 inch piece of paper, and then we would come up with some sort of a reason why they are there and they exist, some sort of a background embellishments and setting and theme, everything that was explained to you in your notes over the last couple of days. So in this case, I've taken some chance to change this a bit, and so we're going to use a 12 by 18 inch piece of drawing paper when we get that far. But the reason I did that was I set this down to about a 6 inch by 9 inch size. So this image is 6 by 9 inches, although it does take up a rather large portion of the view screen. I understand that. And because of that, then I broke it down so that on a 12 by 18 inch piece of paper we can use the same number of squares. There should be 9 squares this way, and then of course 6 this way. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 on a piece of drawing paper, right? And in this direction it would be 6, or 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. So we will be using a 12 by 18 inch piece of drawing paper to create this. You're going to come up with your theme setting, some decorative ideas for this, and then it simply is going to be drawn in pretty much one square at a time, the way that we have drawn many of the other drawings over the years that we've been together. Okay, so for this to work, the first thing we need to do is you need to print this page, if you can make that happen. So figure out a way to capture a screenshot of this, or simply just print this JPEG, and you should be able to start your artwork on it. Now, it is going to require the use of some colored pencils eventually to tag in your information that's going to go in here, maybe some pens as well. So I'm going to just start by decorating stuff that is easy for me to see and to understand. And sometimes I like to use a red pen for some of my decorations, simply just so I can see them on there. And one of the things that I'm certainly going to start with would be like a hood scoop up here on the front of this car. So I'm going to curve that down, and you can draw right along with me if you so desire, if this is the type of drawing that you want to do. Now, I'm going to, all the time I'm doing this, I'm also starting to think about what is going to happen in the background of my drawing as well. And I think I'm going to try to keep it simple, because if I don't, then these projects can go on forever and ever and ever, right? And that is going to be problematic, because we don't have forever and ever and ever to do these projects. So keeping that in mind, I'm going to try to keep the background of my project rather simple. Okay, so I put a hood scoop on there. That's an easy way to start. Now, of course, I won't be able to see that line in there, so I'm going to put an X through it to indicate that I shouldn't draw that. And that's easy enough to start with. I might even add some pipes of sorts to this. And since this is the door right here, I'm going to assume that my pipes would come out probably in front of the door there. So I'm going to add just some J shapes here. It's going to start right here. I'm going to probably try to put 4 of them in there. So if I want 4, that means I have to do 5. Now if this is a 6-cylinder, I get away with 3 maybe? I don't know. Maybe I better do this in pencil first. Okay, in case I mess it up. So if this comes up like this, that looks good. And then the next one comes up like this. Okay, and then the next one comes up like this. And then the next one comes up again. It should have 4 of them on each side. That'd be 1, 2, 3. So I'm missing one. So I'm going to have to put one more in there. And this will come up just in front of that door. That should be alright. Okay, I can make that work. So, here, one more time. Let's try it this way. We're going to go up like this. It comes up over that stripe, by the way. And then I'm just going to try to trim this in there nicely, even, so they're all the same size. Because that's how it should look if you've got a car, a custom automobile. So I'm trying to come up with ideas, even while I'm sitting here right now drawing these pipes in, and of what my background will look like. And I'm thinking maybe it could be sitting in front of the house, like out on the street side, or perhaps it's for sale somewhere. It could be at a car show, perhaps. It could be parked at a diner, kind of old school style. So it's kind of hard to, you have to always kind of make it relevant so that it doesn't seem odd. It communicates to people pretty well. Okay, so I'm going to keep that in there. So those are my pipes coming out from underneath the car, and most of you are familiar with the fact that I do kind of like these aerials kind of off the car a bit, so I'm going to draw one of those. It kind of carefully or lightly curves and tapers as it gets toward the end there. Yeah, that looks pretty good too. Put a little ball on the end of it maybe, and a flag perhaps with my initial on it. Or maybe something important to me. But probably I'm just going to go with my initial. I may change that, but that's what I'm going to do for right now. So that people know that this is my car. And I might even put a little decorative, helps the movement a bit there, kind of thing going on. Okay, so you know, you don't have to go crazy with all of this. I'm going to also put some flames on here too, because I just happen to like flames. And so flames are kind of easy if you know what you're doing. They're basically just lazy S's and lazy C's. Oh, I like that. Okay, and then usually they come from the seams in the car. So right here from behind the grill, this is a grid line in there, so you could probably make a case for putting some in there before you get to the door. So I'm going to go, geez, it'll just be little small flames, I guess. Alright, that looks pretty good. Now this line right here would represent the door, so I could put either a number or a letter, or maybe even just some more flames, because, you know, I want it to look realistic. I don't want it to look hokey. So I'm going to probably go with a little bit more fancier flames in this case right now. Let's see, where would my flames go? I'd say about right in here again. See, that one's nice, long and flowing, and this one's a little bit shorter than that one, and here we'll make this one single flame and make this one come out and swoop back like this, perhaps. That's a little awkward, but for the layout work, I'm pretty happy with it. It'll be okay. And then lastly, there should be maybe some flames back here behind all of this. So I'll just... Now, you know, just because you put all this stuff in immediately doesn't mean you have to keep it that way forever. You're not married to it. So, you know, if it doesn't look good later on, or it doesn't meet your needs, then you just simply take it out. Alright, that's a good start. So I've got flames, I've got a hood scoop, I've got some pipes, and a you know, a little aerial there kind of showing off my car. Some people have gone as far as to put, like, you know, a little... mirror and some fuzzy dice or something like that in there. If that helps you out or you like it, go ahead. I'm not going to. But I think I'm done with kind of that part right now. So then I've got to start thinking about how am I going to make this, what setting am I going to use for this. And you know, I'm thinking about maybe having it just sitting in front of a house or something. And so if I were to just sketch in like the thing is, we got to make it look semi-realistic here, and so it's closer to us. And so you could also use perspective. I've seen people do that before too. And so in this case, let's see, if this is the house kind of in the background, then I don't know what I would see back in there. I have to think about this, but it would probably be maybe something like this, perhaps with a fence too lined up in it. So you just kind of have to be creative, but I'm going to keep this simple. So I am going to go with what appears to be a roof line in the background. Okay, that's not too bad. So I think I've made a good enough decision there that I can go ahead and I'm going to commit to it by darkening it up. So this is going to be my roof line of the house that I'm putting back in there, and then I'll need something way off in the distance there as well. So I'm only going to spend like maybe 2 class periods figuring out what I want to draw before I start setting up my paper after that. So this is starting to come together there a little bit. So once you you print the JPEG that I attached to the bottom of your activities for the day, you should be able to start this yourself. And if you really mess it up, I guess you could always print another one. Although in my house, printer ink is valuable like gold right now. So you may have to argue with somebody if you mess up that bad about getting more printer ink. So try to do it right, conserve your materials and equipment, even though we're at home now, or this is a makeup lesson for you if you have for some reason not been able to participate in this project during 8th grade art class. Okay, now so what I'm starting to imagine I'm seeing is like a house behind there, and then I'm going to down here, I think I'm going to put like a fence or something in this, so that's above the car a little bit. Okay, so I may go back and redraw a lot of this in red just so I can see it. Okay, so this is an indication of my fence back there. And then let's see, since this is sitting on a street, so here we go. I'm going to go to my red pen because I'm going to, everything I'm going to want to draw, I'm going to go over it with a red pen. Boy, that means commitment, doesn't it? When you start drawing red pen, you know you're committed to it. Okay, and then this up here, so I'm not so sure that you all have to do this, but it helps me keeps me from getting all wrapped up in where all these lines are at. And so the red markings allow me to follow what it was I was thinking at the time, and there's so many red marks in this. Okay, so that is a house that's behind the car, and this house, there is a fence that goes beside the house. Okay, and so this fence though is going to have, I'm going to bet, so I'm going to use a pencil for right now because I have got plans I think for this fence. It may even have a gate in it, maybe like right here or something. So my fence is going to have panels in it, or you know, each little piece of the fence is going to have, so there's going to be little lines in it like this, evenly spaced, if I can make that happen. So I'm going along, and I think that my fence will end maybe like right here, and then there will be something behind the fence, or on the other side of it. So, okay, so my fence is going to have little spaces, or little lines in each panel of the fence, and then I'm going to give it maybe a little bit of a decorative top, or maybe a like a picket fence, because everybody would know what that is. So that's a good idea, isn't it? So what I'm going to do then is simply draw my pickets now. So that means these little triangular ends on there. And that will help people really fully understand what they are looking at. So my car is sitting, appears to be like on the road in front of a house. It's got a picket fence outside of it. So when I get my fence done up here, I'm going to go back and erase some portions of it out. So you can do the ideas that I'm doing right now if you so desire. That would be fine with me. If you've got your own ideas you're trying to work out, then that's also a good idea. I'm not trying to make you do it a certain way. Although if you follow along with what I'm doing, then we will be able to experience the same types of problems together, and we may come to better solutions that way. Okay, I've got to dust all that off and not try to erase any of my grid lines. So I'm going to go back with my red pen now and help myself out here by figuring out where my drawing is actually happening at. So what I'm going to do, I would like to work from so I can see what I've just done. Keeps me from having to go back over it a bunch of times. It's the whole planning thing, like I made you do in the last unit. So this old cool car that I've got right here is going to be my subject matter in this project, and then we will always be using and referencing the elements of art and the principles of design, so that all the stuff in the background is the form of the project. Okay, so that right there is like my house. I'm going to put some windows or something in it here soon, and a fence sitting in front of it, and the car is on the it looks like the street in front of it. So if I use my pencil to try to visualize where maybe this should be, like the edge of the sidewalk or something, it's probably going to be right in here, I'm going to bet. Yeah, it looks about right. If I had to lower it a little bit, I guess I could. So maybe that's about right. Or we could make a observation that maybe that's the curb or something, right? Or the driveway right here. Okay, the edge of the curb, right? And then this would be the driveway going back into space here. Maybe. So this could be the... Okay, I'm starting to get an idea here. So sometimes you just got to monkey with these things. So if this is like the end of the sidewalk right here, sticking out from beyond our car here, and this is the driveway kind of going back into here. So does that make any... then this would still be the driveway. We'd still be able to see this. That'd be the road meeting the driveway, I suppose. So you got to kind of work out the logic of your ideas. So my car is going to be sitting in front of the house in anywhere USA, I suppose. I think I can bring this down even farther, and I think it will look even more realistic that way. So I'm going to bring that down, maybe change this a bit. So you just got to keep monkeying with it until you figure out what it really is trying to be. Okay, and in this case, I think I'm getting there with it. Okay, let's see what we got. Well, that line is still kind of messing with me, but I might have to just monkey with it one more time. Maybe it needs to be sloped down more like this. That looks more accurate. That's more appropriate right there. Okay, so what I've got here is like a little chunk of sidewalk, and then this is where the street and the road meet, and this is my house and the fence, and this is the driveway over in there. So let's see, would I be able to see any part of the driveway back up in here? Maybe it'd be tilted more like this. Would I be able to see that is the question. And I don't see why not. So would that be the driveway back in there? Goes back in behind that fence. So maybe I'll have to think about that, but I am going to go with this right here. I do like this look. So where the sidewalk and the road kind of meet. And this would be the extension right where the driveway and the road meet. I don't know about that yet, but what I do know is I'm going to have to put something in the background. I'm going to just start working on this house because I know kind of what a house is supposed to look like. So I think I can use my ruler for a lot of this and my red pen so you can see what I'm doing here. And let's see, we'll just go this way with the red pen. It picks up over here and just goes off that picture. Okay, so if that's the case, we'll do the same thing over on this side. We're going to kind of match it with each other. So it looks like these lines right here will have to hook together right here. Alright, so I've got my, so this line right here would kind of go away. I'll probably have to get rid of that one. I'll put an X on it, because I don't want to draw it. Alright, so probably this would look like this right here. I'm going to bet. Now let's see, I bet in my house there's going to be, let's see, where would I put the door in all of this? And I don't want it to look strange, so I'm going to use my pencil first to kind of figure some things out before I commit to it. But I'm going to bet that this house would have a window, a triangular window, nested in here. Okay. And then below that window would probably be a door, wouldn't you think, in the background? And how big would that door be? It seems like it would be about this tall, I suppose. Maybe a set of double doors. Here's the thing. If this comes down, this should probably be somewhere around this grid line, I bet. Okay, so if these are going to be maybe my doors to the front of my house, then it should probably just be one door, don't you think? So maybe about like this size. But then it's probably going to have to be taller. So maybe up to that grid line. Okay, I'm going to go with this. I'm going to bold it up and then do some erasing. I'm going to go up just above that grid line. I'm going to come over here. This looks like about the right size. About right here. Oh man, I'm tearing up my drawing. Okay, here we go. Hold it up. Better make it parallel so it doesn't look all goofy. Okay. And just above that. So I'm starting to get something appearing here. Now I'm going to have to do some cleaning up of all of this because it's starting to get confusing. So, you know, as you work through your ideas, you just got to constantly be going back and cleaning off some of the stuff that you previously drew that, you know, will just lead to visual confusion for yourself if you don't keep it track of what you're doing with it. Okay, now let's. I think I'm going to try to get this window kind of centered up over into here, because it should hang over that line just a little bit and this line here too. So let's go ahead and get that straightened out here next. I'm going to check I'm looking at the screen just to make sure that I'm level. Okay, that looks pretty good there. And then I can simply, I want this to be parallel to the red line above it. So I want to make sure that, and it's going to end right there at that grid line as well. So all I'm doing is just trying to come up with some information to put into the background that is relevant, first of all, so that people can relate to it, and secondly, so that it enhances the drawing of the car, and it also gives you some creative freedom, something that sometimes people complain about in like middle school art classes. When am I going to get to do what I want? Well, here it is. So I'll do it. Quit complaining about it. Okay. There we go. So that would be like my fancy window above the door in my home, wherever this home is at. And let's see, I've got the top of my door I need to work with there next. And so I'm just, you know, dialing it in here, one little marking at a time, trying to come up with a setting and a theme for what is happening at this in this particular situation for this particular drawing. So I'm starting to get something that's working for me here, because I can see that there's a door now behind to a house that's behind the car. And so all of it's starting to kind of come together, and I try to use the grid lines as much as I can to help me see that. Now if that's the case, that means there's probably a window over here somewhere. So I'm going to make this a rather large window, and I'm going to have it I want to leave it on that grid line. So I'm going to go here, and then this window would probably be obscured by the car a bit, but it would likely come out somewhere down here. Okay, so if that's a window, I'm going to put a little trim around the window so it reads as a window. And I may even put curtains in it at some point in time in the future. But you don't want to get so overly complicated that you're never going to get the project done. So that is the complete and total possible outcome of this if you're not careful. So you end up with a great piece of preparatory work, and then you never really get the project done. I'm just going to go ahead right now, and I'm going to draw in an indication of some curtains, just like we did in the 7th grade drawing project of the city. And I want to put curtains in all the windows. And so this will work, and we'll put in some pleats on our curtains there. Maybe even put in a flower pot or something in the window, or a cat in the window if you think that's important to you. Put a little bit of a lance there, I suppose. So we got something looks legit. Now this window up here, I like to break this into little pieces so it looks more architectural. So I'm going to go around and put some little stripes in that in just the right place, and that would also probably happen over here now. But see, I can't get it too complicated, or I'm going to lose my thread of what I'm trying to do here. Alright, so yeah, now maybe I should have, if there's a window here in the sense of balance there, I should put another window over here on the other side of the door. So let's level this up. And let's see, where would it end? It would probably end somewhere about right here, based on probably about right here. That goes through an entire grid square, and then so probably about right here. Let's just estimate it. Okay, so if this is the top of it, right? Okay, that's the top of it, and I see my little estimate there. So let's and I want to estimate this distance right here from the side of the door as well. So it looks like from about, well, maybe about right here. Okay. So this is the top of my window. Now it's obscured by the windshield. Isn't that funny? Okay, I'm going to come down a little bit. And I'm going to compare these. They look pretty close. Okay, now I'm going to draw my, this could probably come over just a hair. And then straight down, disappears behind the car. Another one straight down, disappears behind the car. Now in this case, this would reappear right about here, so we can see through the windshield a bit. Isn't that odd? Okay, and then this would disappear down here. And this, we're on the grid line. Isn't that funny? It lands right on that grid line. I'm going to bulb that up. Okay, so I'm getting somewhere. So I've got a set of curtains here, and a door, and another window here, and I'm going to put some curtains in that one as well. And so this will read as a car sitting on the street in front of a house. And it should be pretty obvious to almost everybody that's looking at it that that's what it is. And that's what we're really trying to do here. It's not just about the car, it's about the creative thinking that goes into the setting of the material behind it. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. I might even put a little chimney on my house, okay, because what says a house more than just another, like a chimney? So, maybe right on this grid line, maybe just off that grid line a little bit. Sticking up about like this, maybe over here. Come down like this a bit. About like that. Okay, yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, now we'll just put this like this, and I'm going to just put in the upper portion of this, and then I'm going to have all the rest of it I'm gonna just quickly fake some bricks in there. Okay, and if this goes line, 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 line. There we go. Okay, so I've got my house, I've got a fence, I've got what appears to be a driveway kind of going off into the distance here. So here's what I think I'm going to do with this. I do like that look, and it does look pretty natural, doesn't it? I hate to mess it up, but I'm probably just going to go with it. So that's going to be the driveway there as it's coming off the street, see? Now, in the background of that, I think what I'm going to have to do is maybe have my fence on the other end of all of this, another little fence in the background perhaps. So let's try that, let's see what happens. Okay, and back in here, see, I could have a little fence. So I'm going to need some pencilage here, because this will go away now. That's not a grid mark. That is for the old, when I was drawing the fence a minute ago. So you got to keep cleaning it up, otherwise you'll get lost and you won't be able to find your way back. Okay, so this is kind of like a horizon line, like the end of the yard on the other side there where it's at. And then I'm going to put in a little fence that looks kind of far away there is what I'm trying to do. And so it'll be smaller than this one, it'll be lower, right about right here. And then its pieces of the fence will be smaller because they're farther away. They're on the back of the property there. Now, and this is, I mean, in my opinion, kind of a simple idea. However, for some of you might not think it's so simple. So I'm going to put my little picket fence like it's off in the distance there. And then I'm going to come up with something meaningful to go into that background. And then I think I might be ready to start thinking about my colors after this. Okay, now I got to erase out that little portion at the top so it looks like I better get to my fancy little eraser here, so I don't erase everything I just grew. Okay. And this is simply, it doesn't have to be produced 100% accurately like what you've just drawn. This is simply to help you plan your work. And in this case, now I can go back and I can draw my lines in. Now I'm using a red pen. You don't have to use a red pen, okay? I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes so you can see how I am thinking my way through this. And I'll tell you what, that piece right there is messing with this whole thing. Okay, there we go. And what we're trying to get is this sense of foreshortening and depth, like there's a fence on the other side of the property there. I might even put in like some grass or something along the bottom of it to make it look a little bit more understandable and natural. Okay, so I can go back now and put in my other pickets there, so this looks like it's kind of foreshortened a little bit, a little farther away in the background. So I've been trying to keep whatever it is I'm drawing so far really pretty simple. I know some of you may dispute whether this is simple or not. I think I'm going to switch over to a blue pen here for a minute just to add some foliage back in here, like right along here. See, I want that to kind of be, you know, look like there's some stuff growing up there along that fence in the background. And then same thing about right in here. I'm going to, instead of that being a tight line, I'm just going to put some like grass hanging over that or something a little bit so it doesn't look quite so dramatically, you know, like somebody used a weed eater on it or something like that. Alright, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to leave that alone for right now. Now in here there would be like nails that we'd be able to see, you know, that would hold these fence boards on. And so that kind of, you know, easy detail it can really help, you know, your project. Because it simply makes logical sense to people when you give them easy details to follow. There would also be some down here, probably is too. Now I'm starting to get overwhelmed in the details. Okay, so we've got like a fence and another fence off in the distance and a house with some curtains in it. And so I think where I'm going to go next with this is I'm going to think about you know, stuff in the background, and I'm a person that really likes mountains a lot, so I'm probably just want to stick with some mountains. And let's see, we could start one back in here somewhere, and it could just, don't think about it too much. And it's always a good idea, I think, just for compositional purposes, to have 3 mountains. So that's what I'm going to do. And I think I had 3 mountains in my design piece as well. And this mountain right here can just go off the paper and off to somewhere else. Nobody has to know where it went. Wow, that looks great already. Maybe some clouds in the distance right here. So, you know, I'm going to not think about it too much. I'm just going to draw some clouds just kind of floating along up in there. Maybe some cloud over here. Looks like a nice day wherever this is at. Okay, maybe some more cloudage in here. Wow, that's the end of the period already. So I'm going to finish up my drawing real quick here, and then in the next period when we get together I'm going to try to get it all kind of colored in, at least figure out where I'm going with this. But see how this has already come together pretty quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and do something that you probably all know that I like about certain types of drawings. I'm going to draw in a circle right here, maybe right here, and this is going to be my sun either coming up or going down in the background here. Okay, and with that I can go line a stripe out the top, stripe at an angle, another stripe at an angle. Okay, so this is starting to come together pretty nice already, and it's just a, you know, it's just a middle school drawing project. Okay, so if this would be empty, and that's the sky, and this would be empty. So it goes beam, sky, beam, sky, beam, like that. Okay. Now I'm going to tighten that up here in just a minute, so you all can see what I'm doing here. Now this beam right here that would correspond to this one over here, coming out this way, kind of up, pass behind the cloud, pass behind here, come out this way probably, and that would be maybe all you would see of it. It would be maybe over here somewhere perhaps. Maybe. We'll see. But what I do know, I'm going to use a ruler for some of this, is that my sun is either rising or setting in here somewhere. And I will say this has been a pretty good session here. I've got a lot done. I don't know about how you all feel about it, but I'm pretty happy with it. So I'm going to get my red pen out and my ruler and hook some of this craziness together here. So this is one part of the sunbeam, and it will pass all the way up into here. That's kind of a neat idea. So it's hooked together right here. And here's a piece of the sky right there. And then here's another portion of my sunbeam.